December 6, 1865, a date that quietly changed the course of human history. Most people believe that the Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery in the United States instantly. They are wrong. When Abraham Lincoln signed that famous order in 1863, it was a wartime measure. It had no legal power in the border states that had stayed loyal to the Union, and it stood on shaky legal ground once the Civil War would end. As 1865 approached, millions remained in chains, and the future was terrifiedly uncertain. This is the story of the frantic political battle to permanently delete the original sin of a nation from its Constitution. This is the story of the 13th Amendment. January 1865. The Civil War was winding down, but the political war was just beginning. Lincoln knew that if the war ended before slavery was abolished by the Constitution, the Southern states might return to the Union and block any future attempt to end it. He had to pass the amendment through the House of Representatives immediately, but he didn't have the votes. What followed was one of the most intense months of lobbying in American history. The administration used patronage, promises, and immense pressure to flip votes from the opposition party. On January 31, 1865, the House erupted in cheers. The amendment passed by a margin of just 2 votes. But passing Congress was only the first step. Now they needed the states. The joy was short-lived. In April 1865, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. He would never see the amendment become law. The presidency fell to Andrew Johnson, a man with very different views. The Constitution required that 3/4 of the states ratify the amendment for it to become valid. In 1865, that meant 27 states were needed. The northern states ratified quickly, but as the year dragged on, the process stalled. They needed the southern states, the very states that had just rebelled, to agree to destroy their own economic system. It seemed impossible. By early December, they were stuck at 26 states. They needed just one more. The eyes of the nation turned to the South. Surprisingly, the deciding vote came from Georgia. On December 6, 1865, the Georgia legislature voted to ratify the amendment. With that signature, the threshold was crossed. Secretary of State William Seward officially proclaimed the adoption of the 13th Amendment shortly after. The text was simple yet powerful. Neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist within the United States. In that moment, 4 million people were instantly transformed from property into humans in the eyes of the law. The institution that had defined the American economy for 200 years was legally dead. However, history is rarely a fairy tale. The amendment contained a loophole. Except as a punishment for crime. This clause would be exploited for decades through convict leasing and black codes, creating a new form of servitude. Yet December 6, 1865, remains a monumental victory. It was the first time the Constitution was amended to expand liberty rather than just outline government power. It proved that a nation could rewrite its own soul. Today, we remember the struggle, the bloodshed, and the ink that dried on this day, forever changing the definition of freedom. If you enjoyed this deep dive into history, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and share this video to keep history alive. See you in the next one.